Hello, everybody. Welcome back to NLC Division 2. Viper and Jamada coming at you with the final game of the night. It's been a long one, Jamada, but we're finally here. We've made it.
You know
Lucent
what?
versus Lightside.
We're not that far off schedule, to be fair. Typically, we're like starting the look.
20 minutes late.
Look, all things considered, it could be a lot worse. I think, given that we had a 30-minute pause,
True.
being 20, like we're about to get into Champ Select, hopefully in like the next
You're
less than
actually going to
60
curse
seconds,
it.
which
This is going to have a 60-minute pause now, isn't it? You're a mess. Why have you done this to me? I just want my
I'm not
dinner,
doing too bad.
Jamada.
But Lightside against Lucent, of course. Lightside fighting for a spot in that top four right now to tie up with Flung to be tied technically third, I suppose. And of course, we know how strong so much of the Lightside roster can be. Lucent struggling to find any semblance of form. Been 5 losses on the trot now, I believe. Haven't won a game since week 2. Started off really strong. Had, I think, hopes high for a lot of people. But unfortunately, since that week 2 performance, or since week 3, they've just gone 0-2, 0-2, 0-2. Something really needs to click for these guys. Otherwise, they are going to start looking like they might just end up missing out on playoffs.
Absolutely. They came in really hot and then things cooled off pretty quickly. Now up against Lightside, who are, as you mentioned, that team contesting the top 4, maybe looking like the 4th place team at the moment, but individual performances don't always matter the most when macro is concerned. But we're in Champ Select, if you hadn't noticed. Lucent are on the red side, we've got Lightside on the blue side. It's L versus L. And we've got Karma, Lee Sin, Hecarim, Twisted Fate, and now Jinx all taken off the table. Zeri still available.
Zeri still remains up and available. Will be the first time to the insta-locked. Yep, there you go. Now I'm very curious to see what gets
for you.
So do you remember that statement, and I'll quote verbatim and hopefully not get in trouble, where Divina said he wants to cave his head in? I think watching Fuyu play a Twitch game might make him feel that way. Twitch will do the bottom lane most likely. We'll see how this one does. It's definitely a Fuyu special. I don't think this is going to be some kind of weird, Twitch jungle cheese. And I think Lightside doing the right thing. Just pile onto the damn Twitch.
Someone, I just heard the sound of Pravious's keyboard just snap in half.
This is the thing. I don't. Pravius messaged me earlier before we came on air for this game, right. And he said, expect something spicy. I'm gonna reference that now because he's locked in Twitch Lulu first rotation, and I think Lightside doing the correct thing here. They're just piling on dive. Like you just don't want to just murder the rat man. So I think now for Lucent, we really need something that's great at defending these kind of levels of dive. Rek'Sai's not really that in the later stages of the game. Of course, 1-to-1 versus the likes of a Java. This is a train crash draft.
Pravius is like, no, I said the games are streamed on Twitch, not pick Twitch. God's sake,
okay,
Castrulan.
Let's
dial it back. Okay.
Yeah, let's dial it back, all right? Because at the end of the day, there is still some potential for this to work out.
Okay.
Very clearly, Lucent would have left up Zeri in recognition that it's probably going to get first pick. So my expectation is that this Twitch is prepped into Zeri. If you think about it, Twitch, I think, just barely outranges in Ultimate, even when Zeri's in Ultimate herself. So there is room for that. The issue is, at the moment, Lightside have just said, oh, you drafted Twitch? Okay, here's our Galio Jarvan right on top of that. And it's not like they've drafted something which can really heavily and quite easily defend dives. They've gone for the Rek'Sai in the jungle. It's not something that, can necessarily do too great in these team fights. It's fantastic in the early game skirmishing departments against the Jarvan, yes, because you can interrupt the flag and drag, etc., etc. But it's just not something that's going to be too great in the later stages where this Twitch wants to thrive. So I really want to see, strong solo laners now. At this point, if you're going to go for something like Rek'Sai, you need to have some strong setup and some strong kill lanes to work with, so that Twitch can have a lot of priority to work with off the rest of the map, as we're still waiting for a support to get locked in. Lucent, by the way, Camille, Akshan, I think it makes a lot of sense, removing away as much potential dive from the top side as possible, whereas Vene wanted and called out for the Darius and the Urgot bans. Set will be picked here, which honestly just says to me, if you're Svene, you can go Renekton for the lane. It's going to suck later on down the line, but you can definitely smash the lane one-to-one, and you can allow yourself to kind of just play sort of, hey, if you guys need to play towards me, you can. This Galio is actually going to end up in the bottom lane, which I don't really mind, to be honest with you. We're going to see a Victor blind pick, and Syntax will get a counter of his own. And now it's just up to Svenne. What does he want to do? Gragas wouldn't be too bad. Anything to sort of disrupt the Twitch, I think, makes a lot of sense. If you even wanted to go full-blown Ornn, wouldn't be too terrible, to be honest with you. I think anything that's going to stop Twitch from immediately opening up from the top side can be absolutely great for the later stages. But they just say, hey, we don't feel like you're going to have the means to necessarily take down a Mundo in the later stages of the game. And we've seen this matchup actually played from the opposite side. I think it was Castrulan all the way back in week 2 or week 1 playing the Mundo, beg your pardon, Mike, into Gunkus on the set. And Castrulan had a really good time on the Mundo. So I'm curious to see how Castrulan does in the reverse matchup to this. And it seems like Lucent will finish up this draft most likely with that Rise Lock. Obviously not too bad into Victor. If you proc the phase rush, you can typically get out of the gravity field if you're standing still, and that's not too big of a deal. But most importantly, it's providing setup for this Rek'Sai, which is where I think they most certainly wanted to play towards here. In the early stages, give Rek'Sai the setup so they can start to move the pressure down towards the Lulu and Twitch lane. But I'm just wondering how things are really going to go, because at the end of the day, you've given over Zeri, you've got full dive into Twitch, which you're very happy about as Lightside, you've got scaling picks in the solo lanes. How much work can this Twitch do? It's going to be very heavy on Lucent to execute this with near perfection. I know it's hard. It's
a little speechless, you know. Yeah. I understand when it's like the conventional compositions, the meta champions, I'm going to go, yeah, this is what we're looking at. But then you throw Twitch at me and I get confused and disorientated and have to lie down. That being said, I am interested to see what the Galio can do in this situation, right? Because we were expecting it to be mid, so you kind of play it out into whatever it's in. You're quite tanky, and then you can get those roams at 6, which are super strong just because teleports can't follow through the same way.
Yeah.
Now it's in the bot lane. What does it do into a Twitch Lulu?
Yeah, I suppose it's just going to be there purely for setup in terms of just for the ganks. I think that's it. I think that's all it's doing is full up in the mid game, heroic entrance on top of the Cataclysm. That's it. I think that's all it's there to provide. In most cases, just another avenue of CC. I think if the Camille ban didn't come through, then they would have actually placed the Galio in the mid lane regardless of the matchup, and then went for something maybe along the lines of the Leona or the Nautilus, just for another form of engage. But we are here, game 5. I love the skins, Vene. Good job in the cart. Anytime, no, please, not like this. We've had such a good day, barring that 25-minute, 30-minute pause.
You did this, Jamala.
I didn't curse
you
it.
did this.
I didn't.
You cursed the broadcast. So,
it's a horror, man.
It's actually a horror show.
It's a horror.
This wouldn't happen if Arkaron was here. That's all I'm saying. That's all it had to be us, didn't it? Why does it always have to be you two? Actually, it's why does it always have to be you three? Reed's in this as well. It's the graveyard shift. It's really the Freaks for You graveyard shift. And they're just like, we'll just patch TR. Mr. Right is just there like, we'll just patch TR right now. It's like, but sir, NLC Division 2 is happening. Who's casting it? It's Viper Jamada. Patch it anyway, innit? It's whatever.
Oh.
We're back though.
Oh, thank God.
He's still in the car. He's driving to work.
Yeah. All right. So to bring ourselves back down from the sky, ground ourselves a bit, talking about how this game very likely to go. I expect Victor to start on the top side. Probably, I wouldn't be surprised to even see like a super aggressive path, 3 camps into bottom side. And try and abuse that Twitch as much as possible. No cleanse, no exhaust, nothing like that. Just going for the heal on the Twitch. And Zimba also gone for the Ignite. Feels like there's just not really a good exhaust target in the game. The issue with exhaust is obviously, members have to come into you for the exhaust to be worth it. And if you're if you're Lulu in a game against the Jarvan, against the Galio, against Zeri, you don't want to be in range to exhaust them. So if they're in range for you to exhaust them, it's probably too late. Just playing the Ignite. So the 2v2. And it seems like Fantasy also going to be pathing top to bot. So it says to me he wants the path to give coverage to Fuyu and Zimba. Oh, the Q, of course, can hit wards. So that vision will be taken out by Sena. Great job from her. And this is where things just get really irritating against Zeri. Just the constant Q spam, max range, having to play around it. No mana cost. Feels very, very, very bad. But you do expect in the early stages, Zimba and Fuyu should actually take priorities. Of course, Galio, melee champion, into a range champion at the end of the day. So I think for Fuyu and Zimba right now, very key thing to winning this lane, hitting level 2 first, making sure that they can try and dissuade any early pressure. If they can crash the wave on wave 2, actually that'll be an even bigger benefit for them, because then they can actually go and I won't say get a cheat recall, but get a little more information on what's going on in the jungle. Was like called out potentially to see Zvictor is taking a very, very early aggressive path. Right, he's gone for the Grump blue into red. Now he's going to make an immediate visit towards the bottom side. And now because that ward was cleared out in the tri-bush, Zimba, Fuyu, they have to play with a lot more respect. And already a little bit of a domino effect because Sena cleared that one out, giving complete access to the bottom side. And Fuyu and Zimba, they're still not respecting it.
And I think that might cost them the flash, but they will get Fuyu's flash in return. The taunt doesn't land, but the knockup sure does. The flag and drag goes wide, but it does zone away. First blood goes over to Sena on the Zeri. Zimba walks away, but the job's already done.
Yeah, disrespect from Lucent's bottom lane, if you ask me. They had their ward destroyed by the Zeri at level 1, which, yes, feels frustrating, but you have the wave almost crashed in. Just leave. Don't give Lightside the opportunity to take that kill. Great pathing from Zvictor, just to punish the bottom side anyway. You always felt like it was going to happen. And it seems like Touch will just about get this wave under the tower. Fantasy is on the bottom side, but now there's nothing for Fantasy to play around. And that's one of the worst feelings as a jungler. You say, okay, I'm going to path, top to bot or bot to top. And then that side of the map dies on your way to the pathing to that lane. All of a sudden, you left nothing to do.
Fanny P rooted up, knocked up. The damage is there. Flashing away, actually. Syntax misses out on the Q. And Fanny P gets away.
Yeah, I think Fantasy interrupted on the Ferocious Bite. On the E. Unless he did it in the middle of the combo and my eyes don't work. And 5P, once the Gravitum stun, or Gravity Field stun rather, came down, he's like, wait, all of a sudden, I'm not getting DPS. I can flash away from this. He makes it work. Fantasy takes away the Raptor Camp. Touch does a really good job of denying away the other half. Will also clear the camp so it will respawn for his jungler in time. Now actually going to find his way onto Touch. In a little bit of trouble.
It's following through, but there's not enough damage from just the two of them. With Zeri moving up, they're a bit scared of Sena. They should be. Has gone back for that Sheen first item. We're going to have a quick look at the play mid just to see how exactly does Fanny P get out of this one.
Yeah, so Fantasy, great pathing, comes out, knock up, auto, uses the E early. Okay, that's fine. But the animation, does the auto come through? I mean, the spin comes through, and I'm not sure if the damages come from Rise or not, but either way, the Gravity Field comes down, stuns both of them, the auto attack isn't quite enough. And that's why you pop pots in the middle of a fight. Because of moments like that from Fatty P, keeps himself alive. Always the case study. I remember back in season 6, 7, and I want to say it was Freak that was really big on it. But anytime somebody will pop a pot in the middle of the fight and keep themselves alive, he would always point it out. And it has definitely become, the small thing you do as a laner now. Or it's any position. If you've got a pot and you're about to fight, pop it. Extra health regen. You never know whether it's going to save you or not.
And there's small situations it does.
And in
especially when you've got biscuits and corrupting pot, there's not really a reason for you not to use those resources because you don't have to pay for them. Exactly. They're already there for you to use. Well, you have to pay for corrupting pot, but you've already paid for it. You might as well be throwing it out whenever you're going for an exchange, especially when you're in a 2v1 situation like that. Worst case scenario, you've just eaten a biscuit and you've died, but with the corrupting pot, it gets refilled anyway. So you heard it here first, and by first I mean you heard it in like season 6 first, but we're reiterating it here.
Pop your pots in the middle of fight.
Use your resources when you're going for an exchange.
Yeah. Saved Patty P in this particular exchange. Could have been a very easy trade kill back for Fantasy on the rec side. Now hasn't been able to find anything else outside of that attempt on the mid lane. Syntax doing a great job of just holding mid lane priority for now. It seems like Fantasy on this rec side not going to be able to find anything in these early stages. And these are the kind of moments really where you want to be able to find something, right? The first 10 minutes as rec side. Typically people will clown on champions or really mock champions like, Olaf, for example, for not really being able to achieve too much in later stages. Rek'Sai is that, but like 10 times worse.
Rift coming on through. Syntax looking towards the Galio, looking towards the Zeri, more importantly. Mercedes goes over the wall, grabs herself the kill, sorry, as Syntax is looking to walk away into the alcove. Zeri goes down as Fuyu moving forward with the rest of the team. Actually, the only one that's not moving forward with the rest of the team has already fallen, as it's a 1-for-1 exchange, but Lucent commit one more member.
Yeah, Lucent commit one more member. And the issue is now as well, after trading 1-for-1, they're also losing out on resources in the mid lane. It looks like Fuyu is going to go and catch that. Syntax is holding this freeze. This is a good job from Syntax. He needs to thin out the wave a little bit, otherwise they might be able to actually break it. And that should do the job, and now you can just hold this freeze for a little bit longer. Fuyu's going to be A-okay, farming in the bottom side. 5P has been spotted out by Fantasy here, and Fantasy very greedily starts up this chicken camp. Could be in danger.
Ooh, taking a lot of damage, goes over the wall, can tunnel away, will get slowed up, stunned up as well. So many members just fall in from Lightside to secure the kill, and as you said, it's just greed.
Yeah, greedy from the Lucent jungler. You have 2 members holding a freeze on the bottom side. Your other member coming back to mid lane to catch a wave. Castruden's up in the top side, obviously, with not unleashed teleport, so he's never going to be able to help you in any capacity. And you just had a skirmish on the bottom side. You know people are going to be opening out back onto the bottom side of the map. Gives over a free kill. Doesn't turn into an objective, though, fortunately. Lightside didn't feel like that was a time to convert into a dragon, so they don't. Kills definitely being traded, but no objectives taken early, which is definitely a bit of a different pace set compared to other games. It feels like teams have been all over objectives in the first 10 minutes on spawn. This time around, though, maybe because of the unusualness of Twitch being in the game, just prompted teams not to start up that dragon super early.
Falling, just hanging out. Fatty P once again needs to be careful under tower. This time around the kill goes over, but Fancy will be able to tunnel away. I don't know how that reset works on tower, but Victor's not too happy about it either. Move forward, but gets the cataclysm. That was close. But it will be Victor securing the return kill. Dragon has spawned onto the map a little while ago, actually. No one's been playing around this macro objective, but that was interesting mid lane.
Yeah, I'm requesting a replay. Because quite frankly, I feel like Fantasy should have died at the tower dive. I'm going to just say it. It felt like as soon as he entered the terrain, the tower just said, oh, no one's here anymore. That's it. I've been hit over the wall by that tower. Like standing too close to the wall. Like I've been hit by that tower by standing too close to the wall. So let's see, shall we? So play comes in, hits the Prey Seeker. Great flash from 5P to keep himself alive longer. Tower shot. Tower shot. As soon as he what?
The banner gets in the way. Done it.
No, he's still in. I'm calling bogus there. Thankfully, it's Victor.
I was close to a double from Fantasy.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I think if Fantasy, small micro mistake. I think if he just goes for all 3 autos and then E's afterwards, I think the cast time might kill Victor before he actually ended up throwing his combo out. Because that true damage, it's a massive spike in damage. And not only that, it's true damage. So could have maybe gotten away with complete daylight robbery twice back to back. As Dragon was slide up this time by Fantasy. So finally, the objective will be taken up. And Herald was also picked up during the duration of that replay. So finally, at the 10-minute mark, these objectives are picked up. Lucent get the Dragon. Victor gets the Herald for Lightside. And I think, naturally, you want to go towards Sena. You want to put the Herald in her lane. Get the Zeri online. I think that's the crucial thing. Such a powerful champion. I think so obnoxious as well, especially when you don't have too much, point-and-click RTC, right? You have 2 forms of it inside of the Polymorph and, of course, the Rune Prison. I guess technically as well, if you want to be very specific. The ultimate from Set, but I think the issue is because of the range and mobility of Zeri, in many cases of all 3 of those abilities, you have to commit flashes to get those ultimates down. And there are plenty of defensive tools available to Lightside to actually defend any aggression in that regard onto the Zeri. Syntax, yeah, I don't know how much danger he actually realized he was about to walk into. 4 people. 4-man sent to the mid lane here with the Herald. Sena clearing the ward on the side. Can parkour over, of course.
Bring up the zap, but Fancy in the wings as well, so this fight will be a much more even one than our team might realize. But it looks like Lightside just going to give the respect that is due and backs away after getting 3 plates. I don't believe the 4th one was secured by the last punch from Rift Herald. It was certainly trying to go for it, but there were enough members defending to deny that one. 2 plates still standing confirms that.
I've just realized something.
What did you just realize, Jamala?
Jarvan has a half-bound axe in his inventory.
Okay.
So that's Stridebreaker Jarvan.
There it is, Stridebreaker Jarvan. Talk me through your thought process here.
No, if I did, I wouldn't be. I wouldn't last too long on the broadcast if I did.
That's one of those career enders, is it?
Yeah, that's one of those career. Yeah, I'm really not too sure about Stridebreaker Jarvan. Again, theoretically, you understand, build sometimes, but sometimes, sometimes you just shouldn't build things on certain champions, right? I think this might be one of those cases. I think you still want Gordrinker on Jarvan, guys.
In terms of Stridebreaker here.
It's
Do you have any idea?
It's just like an extra W with less range on Jarvan's kit. Like, that's the issue. Just like, what does it actually change about the champion? The answer is not that much, right? At least Gordrinker gives Jarvan effectively a little more HP.
Is it to go for the true assassination onto the backline in the
It's a
early
head
stages?
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, Fury blows his flash, and the funny thing about this is Lightside should stay on this wave and just deny the wave away, because they can always just dive. They can already see where Syntax is. Castrulan just blew his flash on the top side. I think it's a bit of an error not to just outright punish this flashless now flashless now Twitch. Even if the Lulu is there with ultimate, you probably have enough damage to burst it down. You've got Stridebreaker Jarvan plus the Trinity Force on the Zeri.
But it's just going to be Zeri on that bot lane wave after allowing it to bounce off, as Galio will return with Victor. So the whole gang's back together.
Yep.
As now they might look to do what you've just said. There's a little bit of delay between comms from us to them.
But now it has a little less potency because the wave isn't as big to be missed, and not only that, you don't actually know where Fantasy is. And in this instance, he is shadowing the wave. You see him on the wave now, but now it nullifies the play, right? As Lightside, you can no longer go for that dive. It's an unsafe dive. It goes from being, maybe a 75 to 25 in terms of, success rate to all of a sudden an immediate 50-50 at best.
So first time was a misstep, maybe not to go for it. Second time is probably the correct decision. So trying to move into the mid lane, get the Cataclysm down, forcing the flash out of Syntax. Nice use of...
Sorry, it's just such a bizarre...
You need to... You need to get on board or get off the train, bro, because Stridebreakers and Jarvan is the future, and I will not hear otherwise at this time. But reminder, there is a top lane.
Yeah, I will say Svene entirely isolated, and I think he recognizes this. There's not really like a true, and this is going to sound a bit silly because there's, a 1k true damage ability in the game via Castrulan. Depending on his build, considering he's gone Bork first, which says he wants to play side lane.
He's going Stridebreaker too.
God forbid.
It's spreading.
There's not really a champion in this game that absolutely murders tanks for a very long time. Even looks like is Fu going Bork first too?
Yeah, I'm certainly look that way.
Okay.
Gets a decent amount of damage down onto Sana as she has to parkour over the wall, but will return to the scene of the crime because she has support in River, and actually Touch is moving in to clear out a potential dive path if Faddy P, but more likely is Victor, want to move on down, but the wave might not be in the right place when this dragon is felled. But that'll be first of the game for Lightside. Last soul of the night will be shown to be Infernal, same as last game.
Okay.
But both teams have one already, so be a little while before we see a soul come into play.
Yeah, exactly. Gonna be a very, very long time until we see that one. Still scratching my head at this Stridebreaker, man. I just...
Let it go, Jamada.
I'm not gonna let it go, okay? I'm really stubborn when it comes to some itemization.
Right.
And this just so happens to be one of those instances. Fuyu's trying to sneak. Ooh, brilliant control ward.
Thinking about it.
Yeah. By the way, that's a control ward for your solo queue games. Bottom laners, if you're against the Twitch, it happens once every blue moon. Having controlled in that front bush always very, very helpful, especially if you can hold priority to keep it alive. It's obviously the main time you can put it down. I'm just trying to think, like, do you just build normally after this? Do you go, he better not go Sterax. That's...
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Second time Sterax after the Sterax. Victor, I beg, please.
As it looks like they might be trying to find, at the very least, the tower, potentially a dive.
I think they'll be able to find it. Cash taking a lot of damage, but they don't want to follow through as members of Lucent are moving up. But Lightside also have support in this side of Touch. Just hanging around upriver, and Sena holding mid right now. So good respectful play again from Lightside, but a couple more of those respectful plays and maybe you're going to ask the question. Are Lightside happy to just wait this one out a little bit?
Yeah, obviously, here's the thing. Ryze, he's not the same old blow everybody up mage that he used to be typically because of all of the itemization that seems to be going the way towards those kind of bruisery mage builds instead. And Fuyu does have the Blade of the Ruin King, not the worst timing in the world, 18 minutes, but he is definitely still behind at the moment, and he's going to be propped up by a Lulu. So his scaling is definitely going to be very, very strong. But I just don't quite feel like Lucent are in a position where they're going to be outscaling to a scary position. I mean, yeah, Syntax, phase rush for now to run away, and that's going to be crucial for him in a lot of these diving scenarios. I just feel like Lightside's composition is more on theme with one another. It all wants to do the same thing. Yes, you can technically say functionally Lucent's comp. You know, it's looking for those open ups. It's looking for, you know, somebody to misstep or dive onto so that Castruna can get an Orma and then Fuyu can open up. But the issue is, if Lightside are always waiting for Fuyu to be the target, I don't think the re-engages ever work out for you. As Lucent, in most cases, Victor's going to be very self-sufficient. Come 2 items, and especially third if he goes for the Zhonya's. I just feel like the scaling aspects of this comp just don't really come together for Lucent ever. I think that Lightside's B2B3 of that Jarvan plus the Galio to be followed up by such a tanky frontline of Mundo. I don't want to call the game here because League of Legends is a very funny thing. But nameplates off, it just feels very hard for Lucent to ever reasonably come into this game. Yet again, it's going to have to be Lightside doing a momentous amount of trundling, I'll call it.
And I mean, A, haha, Trundle's not in the game. B, you say, we get it, Reed. We get it. You say that it's a case of nameplates off, Lightside going forward. But nameplates on.
Yes.
Lightside are the team that have been playing more consistently well throughout this split. And yes, they've dropped games. Primarily the teams above them, I believe. You would have to get the historians on that one.
I can double check that for you.
You can be the historian for this one. But Lightside are a team that are very well known for playing the early to mid section of the League of Legends games pretty well. They know what they need to be doing in a macro sense. And with the composition having been built so effectively to deny what Lucent want to be doing, you've got to imagine that surely turning nameplates on would further your point rather than detract from it.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. What I was saying is if you had no idea who these players were, that Lucent were on a bit of a, you know, a down streak to, you know, further the point, you would still say Lucent, or Lightside rather, would be in a very, very comfortable position. And now this Dragon is 15 seconds away from spawning up. Teams are just posturing for it. They don't care about the midwave right now. At the very least, Lucent are just being kind of manhandled away from it in posture. Fuyu trying to find an angle to sneak around on. But he's running out of camouflage. He should be out now. As there is a bit of a flank coming through. Potentially from Victor, but he's going to be on Vision. Nice fantasy we have to look at. Potentially, but I mean, it's just so awkward to find access. You don't really have any hard engage. It's all about waiting for Lightside to come into you. And now they actually know where Fantasy is because of that ward. You can force him away. He's going to have to go and rejoin his team. Lightside actually giving away a lot of ground.
Yeah, going in. Victor trying to get the damage down. Strikebreaker proc there, but he's just going to be deleted, rooted up and taken down. The heroic entrance will knock out. Members of Lucent do go a little bit low, but Syntax full health. Zimba putting the damage through. Fuyu on the side completely untouched. Lightside have lost 2. They've only managed to take down Castrulan and will now be chased away. Fancy moving forward. Dragon is low, will be secured, but there goes Rek'Sai. It's a Raptor for a Raptor. Nice free-man taunt as Vene moving forward. Needs to be careful though. Doesn't have ultimate available. Will get burnt low. Polymorph and taken down on the tower. Disaster for Lightside. Victor gets away, but Lucent take the objective and the fight.
Yeah, I just think it's a real nice opening from Fuyu. I think he just entirely assassinates Sena before she can really do too much. Still had the flash available. She's just not able to survive. I hope we get a replay of that ASAP as Fuyu going towards either a Kraken Slayer or a Gale Force. Very, very well played fight from him. I hope. Let's see. Let's get a look. Fuyu goes back into stealth. He just blows up Sena on the top side. I think it's just the way the positioning ends up being. Yeah. Doesn't even really have to move too much for it. And this is what I was talking about. The idea of the Twitch isn't really about the laning phase. It's about those later stages where even if the Zeri's pop the ultimate, you still outrange the Zeri as the Twitch whilst you're in ultimate. And that's exactly the theory that seems to be coming true for Lucent. Maybe underestimating some of the scaling aspects, but certainly a more optimal fight for Lucent than they were potentially going to be afforded. A lot of attention from Lightside went towards that dragon. And trying to kill Victor, who admittedly did die off quite easily in the pit. We'll see if maybe a fight occurs on slightly more even grounds, whether they can repeat that same level of success. I think Lightside for now still going to hold a massive amount of control as well.
No control down there, though. Gallia gets taken out. That's only the support going down, but it's still a decent pick.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's absolutely wonderful for them for now. Going to give them a nice amount of time to effectively do whatever they want on this side of the map, even if they want to move over to the top side, get some vision down. And because of the way that the timers are worked out, unfortunately, Victor had to place that Herald on the bottom side. And Fuyu out.
A lot of trouble there. Damage coming in is massive, and Sena gets the shutdown, so putting all the eggs in the right basket.
Yeah, 2 items as well. Already has that Runans on top of the Triforce. Herald, apparently a master of the flying Raijin, teleporting everywhere.
Had flash off cooldown, so he decided to use it.
Exactly. Svene can eat a fair amount of damage. Doesn't really have too much magic resist just yet to deal with that. And again, Fantasy finds another knockup onto a core member.
Needs to be careful, throwing down the ultimate. Will she be able to survive? Yes, she can, turning the damage around towards Fantasy. Gets the kill, looking for another one onto Castrulan. Dancing around the back of the fight. They lose one, but Svene on the side, diving through the triple kill for Sena on the Zeri. You weren't catching her, she was catching you.
Yeah, and those are the scary moments about Zeri, right? You don't quite get to lock her down. She starts to Kai back into a choke, and all of a sudden you funneled yourself into a choke. She's got the Runan, she's got the Triforce. Zeri just absolutely melts multiple members in moments like these. And now, even without the only thing that's stopping Lightside right now, from taking down the Baron is the fact that they lost Victor. Not too long ago, Fuyu, he caught out that control ward, throws out the thumbs up, says, sniff me out well. Good job for the game sense for IP, pushing out on the top side, and that tier 2 in the mid lane will drop finally. And this is the moment in the game where I say, I mean, Lightside, they're so strong. 2 items across the board. Items almost being matched on the opposite side from Lucent, but not quite there. Potentially for the next dragon. Something can be said as Fuyu resetting now. I'm hoping, for Fuyu's sake, has enough gold for a Kraken or a Gale Force. You'd imagine probably a Gale Force for survivability, but Kraken Slayer to try and burst through the front line. I think both fine options in this instance. I think, though, it's going to be about, as it typically is when Twitch is in the game, how freely does Twitch get to open up? What targets does he get access to? Because Twitch, a champion that makes or breaks games very quickly, right? Early game, very abusable. In the mid to late game stages, however, so scary still, especially with a Twitch with a Lulu in Twitch's back pocket. You're always going to have to deal with, that additional 300, 400, 500 HP or more in shield value and health value given by Wild Growth and all the other spells. If you don't have the burst damage to always take down that Twitch, you open up with that rat-tat-tat onto Sena, onto the Zeri. Zeri just dies. You don't really have much answer to it. That's obviously what the Jarvan and the Galio are there to do. to immediately shut down that Twitch once the Twitch opens up. So let's hope for Lightside that they can do that for Lucent. You're hoping that Fuyu can find great target access, primarily on Sena, and then as soon as that happens, the rest of the team can play bodyguard and keep him alive whilst he DPSs the rest of the team.
As I just posturing around this dragon, want to control the pit, don't want to be giving Lucent soul point. And it looks like Lucent a little bit slow on the draw, won't be contesting this one, whether through inaction or just deciding that they'd rather move up towards this Baron and get some control over the area. Doubt they'll be able to rush it down with Svene seemingly having a business conference call up in that region anyway. Just making sure that Vision isn't fully controlled by his opposition. But now Lightside moving down the mid lane once again. Just marshalling waves in, looking to catch anyone else in the jungle they can. Can't find Zimba, who's too quick on the retreat, but they're going to be able to jump onto Fuyu. He's going to be able to flash away, though. Some current entrance also goes wide, looking at the tower, but Set is going to be limited backwards. Fuyu gets first class fight onto Victor, turns around onto touch. The inhibitor tower has gone down, but Sena's going to be rooted up. Svene is trying to make bodyguard best he can, but Sena has to dive in the wood to escape. Damage coming on through. Would she be able to dance away? No, she won't, as Svene gets taken out. It's not a clean ace. Actually, is a clean ace. Yeah. Quadra kill goes over to Fuyu. They just couldn't catch the rat.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the issue, right? Lucent can find successful fights like that because that's what their draft is definitely, you know, designed to do. Survive the dive, get dove onto, re-engage with Set. It works out for them this time. Lightside, I think, just overestimating how strong Twitch can be on the turn out of a flash from the Cataclysm, and Touch also overcommit, ulting onto a target, or onto the Twitch rather, whilst the flash is there. And now all of a sudden, it's Lucent who are going to probably take the lead just about. Maybe they're still short 500 after the Baron. And that's going to nullify this game state for a very long time. Duration of the buff into maybe even the next dragon. It could give Lucent the ability to set up here. And now finally, the worries about Lucent's composition are starting to fade away. These were all of the issues in the early to mid game that I was very, very worried about. Lucent just wouldn't have the tools in time to deal with how much dive and damage that Lightside had piled into their draft. They still have to worry about the Zeri. Zeri's still very much a scary, scary champion on this patch. Has 3 items now. But look across to the other side. Fuyu just finished up an entire Runans, I think, from start to finish. Picked up 4 kills plus the Baron buff in gold. All those are probably shut down. So now Runans, Kraken Slayer, Blade of the Ruin King onto multiple targets at the same time. Lightside, they have to remove this Twitch from the fight immediately. And now that he doesn't have flash, they can certainly do that, but they have to pull the trigger, and they have to pull it soon before that flash comes back up. Otherwise, they're just going to have a repeat fight of what we just saw in the base.
I mean, it was over-aggression under a tower as well. The inhibitor tower was broken. Yeah. So there is that avenue that Lightside could look to play through. But with Baron and powered minions moving forward for Lucent for the next couple of minutes, it's going to be difficult for them to find an opening. But as you mentioned, it's just about nullifying the game state. Lucent getting themselves back on level terms. If they can grab anything off the back of this Baron, some of these outer towers to give themselves a gold advantage, that would be swell. Members of the Lightside are hanging around in the wings, though. Touch moving forward, trying to get the snipe down onto Syntax. Won't be able to do so just yet, as Victor also in the wings. Can't find the Cataclysm engaged. They really need to find Fuyu, though, because if they jump onto anyone else, even someone like Syntax, he's going to be able to buy enough time to just get that Twitch going, and Fuyu just needs 2, 3, 4 autos to completely melt through multiple members from Lightside.
Yeah. Very, very, very strong. Fuyu is at this moment in time. 1,000 gold down on Sena, but okay.
Zimba. Flash from Wild Growth.
Yeah, Flash Wild Growth. Big tools. Now all of a sudden, the pair very vulnerable to getting dove on. Vision being toggled because you never know. And it's also very helpful to see what Lightside can see against the Twitch sometimes too. Just simply because, I mean, if we toggle it back to Lightside, Twitch could just be waiting right there in the middle of the lane. You never really know. And that's the scary thing about Twitch. It's like when you play against the Evelyn, it's the same thing. You always have to just play like Twitch or Evelyn are about to pop out of Vision at any given moment. As the way the dragons are picked up, 1 apiece. Very much close to Soul. Not close to Soul. Yeah, Fantasy should be okay. And, I mean, Dragon, 1 minute's time. I think both these teams are going to have their reasons to want to fight for it, naturally. I think Lucent now finally feels strong enough, more than strong enough to actually contest Lightside. They just want to fight so they can try and take down Fuyu, because the issue is 31 minutes, 32 minutes into the game. If you get a clean enough team fight, you can run it down mid and end. You don't actually have an inhibitor tower to worry about anymore. It's just those Nexus towers and the Nexus itself. And again, for Lucent, they have to execute the Zeri. I mean, Zeri looking to execute Syntax.
Syntax manages to get away on half health. Remember, this Rise is tankier than you might be expecting if you haven't seen the past couple of patches with this build. For you moving forward, no opportunity to open up though. Needs to find the perfect ability because
has to be an angle.
still has Cataclysm available.
Yeah.
It's Fancy moving forward.
Going for it.
The angle. That's a lot of damage coming through, but it's not executed anyone just yet. Cataclysm has been used. The Horizons will follow through as we see him go gold. And Fancy gets the execution onto Zeri. She's nowhere near the fight. Neither is Fatty P as the damage coming on through. It's just going to be Touch and Svene. Fatty P finally turns up to the fight after killing Rek'Sai. But Lucent have more members remaining. 3 versus 2. And Lucent, with Dragon on the menu, could set themselves up for Soul unless they want to try and turn onto this fight. It's mid and top versus mid-top support. But it looks like the recall is a split decision. Go for the Dragon and defend the inhibitor as Mundo and Victor make a beeline towards the base.
Yeah, they make a beeline towards the base, but at the last second they call off the play. They don't want to go for the 50-50. They recognize Fuse up in not too long from now. Castrulan could come up from recall, and not only that, Syntax could actually cut them off with a Realm Warp. It wasn't a tool that was blown in that team fight. Not worth the risk. Now Lucent 1 Dragon away from Soul, and now Fuyu has his flashback up there in such a good position to finally play this one out. Yet again, getting close to that Infinity Edge as well. Have to say, admit, definitely wrong on this call. Lucent, their team comp scales a lot harder than initially anticipated here. I have to say, fantastically played out by Lucent. I think Lightside haven't really been able to find a consistent pattern to actually abuse here into Lucent, because, you know, whilst at face value, admittedly, the team fights seem very simple, right? Just send Victor in, touch on top, blow Fuyu's flash, and then the next time you can always murder Fuyu on repeat whilst there's no flash available. Those windows have been very, very far and few between. And she's spent the Lightside. Yeah, Fuyu's positioning, for the most part, has been absolutely spectacular outside of lane.
Thinking about an opportunity to open up here, but she's going to clear out these minions. If this inhibitor goes down, this could be a lifeline for Lightside, which is wild to say considering the gold is only 500 different, but the Lucent in the past 10 minutes has been very different from the Lucent in the first 25. Castrulan on the bot side gaining even further ground with an inner tower secured, has that hull breaker to make things easier, and actually teleporting in towards the Baron. Doesn't want to be giving up this one if Lightside were considering starting it, but joke's on you, Castrulan. They were never considering it.
Yeah, I think he was scared of getting collapsed on. So he teleports up. Svene was actually going to go and match him as well. As soon as he sees that Castrulan's out on the top side, because he just teleports, stays with the rest of his team. Boo's back in stealth.
He's thinking about an opportunity.
Yeah.
I think you could even catch someone like Zvictor. You could even get a few autos onto him and he's dead.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, Zvictor only has a chain vest, has Lucent. This man's build. Deep breath, deep breath, deep breath.
I was wondering when you were going to notice.
I just don't want to talk about it.
No Starix Gauge yet, unfortunately, but...
No Starix Gauge. Yeah, I'm not... Okay. If I was going to be nitpicky, I think...
Right.
Whilst we have a brief moment to not be serious, Gordrinker DD, GA Sterax, maybe best. I think that's probably it. I think that's the path if you're going to 4 items. If you ever make it to 4 items on Jarvan, then...
Well, Zvictor has no items that you've mentioned there. So...
Yeah.
That's good.
As a very common, you know, rebuttal to when people think casters are wrong, there's a reason why they're on the Rift and I'm not. Evidently, so, you know, maybe it's dark tech I don't know about. But Lucent, bring ourselves back to the game. Doing a absolutely fantastic job of managing the aggression that Lightside have tried to throw at them time and time again.
Looking for the engage. We'll be able to find it onto Syntax, but Fuse on the side. Keep your eyes on the rat. He's opened up onto Sena. Sena goes low. Sena goes down. They've just completely mistimed who they're going into. Syntax is still alive as Lightside look to take down Fuse. Take down Fantasy. That's an F, but it's the wrong one. They only went for the first letter, and now you can see on the back, Castrulan gets a kill. Svene's big, but can he find anyone? Syntax is still alive as they jump towards Fuyu, but it's too little too late. Mundo is the last one standing, but will be hunted down and removed. The Rise doesn't die to the initial burst. Fuyu's barely touched, and Lucent will take Baron.
Yeah, Fuyu, spray and pray on Sena. Nothing Sena can do, no flash. And again, the theory of just outrange the Zeri. It's one of the things, right, that Zeri has up her sleeve. The mobility, the range. What does Twitch do? Outrange her. Might not always necessarily outspeed her, but I mean, if you've got a Lulu to speed you up, you fix the other part. Assassinate the AD carry, and that's the thing at the moment. Sena is a majority of the damage out of Lightside's composition. Yes, 5p is quite strong. If we could pull up the items again, you'll see 5p is sitting at 3 items at the very least. Very, very strong. But the issue is, he's just not always able to get down onto Fuyu, and if he's not getting onto Fuyu, then that's Fuyu auto-attacking multiple members, most likely. Get a replay of this one here, as it's just all eyes on Fuyu. Yes, Syntax is getting, you know, jumped onto by this combination, but he's got the stopwatch, the Zhonya's to stop that from happening. And Sena just 4 autos, if that, just blown up. Then all of a sudden, Fuyu starts opening up onto the side of the Lightside frontline, and I mean, you can see how much damage he's capable of doing, even to the frontliners there. No Last Whisper in tow,
we're into another fight, and Victor's just dead, as we're seeing a repeat after the last one, but this time Sena's alive. Woo! Trying to keep her alive. Castrulin on a killing spree, as the Zeri is spraying and praying in her own right, but you see the engage coming on through the lock up from Fancy. We'll be able to get the kill, but Zeri is just still kiting backwards. Castrulin, that's a big old shield, as the double kill comes in for Set. You can see Syntax is there. Fuyu's down though. Can Sena finish this one up? I know one more auto attack, but won't be able to take down Syntax. It's a big old shutdown, but it's an ace for Lucent, as this could be Soul if Syntax secures it.
Yeah, all right. Well, Syntax should secure. He's the only damn member left on the rift. It's a graveyard, and Syntax stands over it. Infernal Soul will be the pickup finally for Lucent. That's felt like a long time coming. And yeah, there you go. Replay into a graveyard. Back out into another replay. So it's Victor just getting caught by Syntax and all the damage that he can do. And after he recognizes he's dead, he just goes to the execute. On the top side of the fight, what's happening? So you watch the bottom side, it's just Svene being an absolute nuisance to Fuyu, and it's a great death rate from the likes of IP to thankfully shut down Fuyu and actually keep him away from any other members. And Sena not able to be locked down until the very last moment. After she's able to take down Castrulin, Syntax finds the Rune Prison. Syntax, the only member left alive, able to solo up that dragon. Nice and easy.
Infernal Soul. That's going to be big coming through for Fuyu, who opens up on the Fatty P. The damage is huge. Won't be able to get a kill, but burning low. Fatty P has to recall. Now Sena's defending this tower all by herself and has to dive into the wall to avoid Fantasy. Yes, it's only the outer, but it will fall. As Lightside, their composition was working so well up until it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, the first 20 minutes of the game, it was working quite well. I think with a composition like this, though, the issue is you have to keep the pressure high. You have to consistently make sure that there's not a second for Lucent to breathe. And unfortunately, it feels like that's kind of what they did for just a brief moment. Just let Lucent breathe for a little bit too long. Then they eventually tried to continue the game plan. As
Victor's gone in, but that's really far ahead of the rest of the team. They will be able to get
he's on his way
down low, but Sena on the back. Keep your eyes on both of these marksmen because the damage coming through is big. Sena locked into place for a second longer though, looking to try and get the damage down onto Lucent members. This fight is not going too badly for Lightside back though. Fuyu's still there. Zeri doing the damage. They realm warp away. Lucent get important members out. Top, mid, marksman, but Lightside have 4 and they're moving down mid lane. That's an open inhibitor. What can they gain here?
Yeah, and the blue ward, they've baited them into thinking that people are going to come and actually interrupt the base. So now Teleport has to come out from Castrulin. 4 members, like you say. Twitch is going to come back out, but he's got Ultimate. Fuyu has Ultimate, no flash heal, no Twitch.
What can they get? There are bounties on these towers. If they can grab one, but Touch is going to be drawn in. They're not going to be able to score enough damage just yet. Lucent moving forward. Fuyu opens up, kills Touch, looking for another more important member. Grabs Sena with half health on 1. But it's just a little bit too slow to gain anything else. Lightside lose 1 member for the inhibitor. Get a lot of damage onto the tower, but won't take it down. And will be able to back away into the jungle. That's the closest fight we've seen so far. Lightside probably just shaded it.
Yeah, and if Fuyu had flash at this moment, he would have just wiped the entirety of Lightside on the way out. And it could have been enough time to honestly just run it back down mid with a wave and end the game. They lose an inhibitor. They don't quite lose the Nexus tower. Replay will come in. And Svictor, I just loses his composure. You understand, right? Slow down, rise in front of you. You can get the follow-up a little bit too far. Fortunately, ends up working out in the long term. Fantasy just gets absolutely deleted. And that's the late game that I was worried about from Rek'Sai. coming to fruition a little bit, but it's not really the key thing to look at because it's all about Fuyu, it's all about Zeri and Sena dishing out all this damage. And the only reason Lucent is still in this game is because Syntax was able to cast that Realm Warp, not get interrupted, take away the rest of the team, and they were able to get back to base and defend. Infernal Soul, it's been a help, but it's actually not enough to close out these team fights. Lightside doing a great job of... It feels weird to say they're holding on now after the early game, but it's exactly what they're doing, holding on. As this Twitch continues to be a threat, could find access depending on how Lucent or Lightside, I beg your pardon, decide to walk into the top side river here. Still in stealth, no whiles left. And anytime Sena steps forward, you kind of start to hold your breath simply because what if Fuyu decides to open up?
Something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I mean, this is so close. It's fascinating to see these two teams up against each other in such an even game. The last couple of games we've had today have been exceptionally close. This one, no different. Baron's up in 20 seconds time. You gotta wonder, where is Victor gonna throw his ultimate next? Where's the team fight gonna start up, and who is it going to start up? Because if Sena can stay away from Fuyu, you've got to imagine the Lightside have a decent opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean...
Briefly, to reiterate.
Yes.
Flash coming up. Thank you. I was actually going to say, Sena's going to have their Flash back up. And not only that, just in terms of the scope of this game, this is a 5-loss streak Lucent. Standing up to Lightside on the top half of the table, trying to play for a top 4. Walking into the next day of play. Thank you for the vision, Hovers. Fuyu, going to go back into stealth. Looking for a pick.
Trying to find Sena.
That's the crucial thing, right? It's all about these AD carries. If Fuyu dies, Lucent look a lot weaker. If Zeri dies, if Sena dies, all of a sudden, Lucent also, Lightside look tremendously weaker. These AD carries are so strong. Fuyu's going for another wraparound, but look at Victor. He's going for a bit of a flank. I think he's been caught out by vision.
We'll have to back away. Syntax on there, marshalling him away. But the Jarvan, you can question the engages so far, but one good pick could be all it takes as Fantasy's going to be chased down river. Baron is, of course, up, but we've got Elder Dragon up in 35 seconds. The objectives are coming thick and fast. Lucent hanging around in mid lane. Don't want to be giving Lightside the choice necessarily. But both these teams, one team fight, you've got to imagine the next team fight decides it unless we get another it's just Syntax alive situation.
Yeah,
which we could see knowing this game.
If just one member and it's not touch survives a team fight from Lightside, they should be able to end the game. Oh, Fuyu!
Oh, in the back. Fuyu's getting the damage down, gets towards touch. Sena's still alive, but gets felled by Fantasy. That could be the team fight that they needed as the Hurricane just comes on through. Touch trying to keep members at bay as Fatty P moves around, but Lucent have taken the fight. Lucent may well have taken the game. Svene will be cut down as well.
It can end.
Surprises everyone, catches them off guard. And Lucent will end the lost streak as they take down Lightside.
Caught me off guard. I just lost track of where Fuyu was, and very clearly so did Lightside. Fuyu opens up, assassinates Sena. I don't know if actually got the finishing touches on the kill, but the point is, health bar removed. And now this should just be the game for Lucent, breaking the 5-game loss streak. Thankfully. Yeah, and I mean, they go 4 and 5. Lightside not going to be able to tie up into 3rd place alongside Flung, unfortunately for themselves. It just felt like they took their foot off the gas for a second, Lightside, and it just gave Lucent the opportunity to finally play the game they wanted to. And that was, coming into this draft, that was the major worry, right? You show Twitch so early. Obviously, yes, it very much was pre-planned. And as apparently Previous said, we've got spicy picks coming. The Twitch, definitely very much that. We've got another replay actually coming up in a second. Lightside, once they weren't able to consistently lock down the Twitch, it was just too big of an issue. And yeah, just playing sort of trying to guard them out of the river, they give up the left side flank to the Twitch, who opens up on Sena, and that's all it takes. As soon as Zeri's dead, the damage falls off of the charts. No longer really much that Lightside can do, and it's just a very easy to clean up fight for the remainder of Lucent. Excellently played. Come the end of it, very worried. It felt like Lightside were doing everything that they had to do to shut down what Lucent very clearly wanted to do in terms of propping up the Twitch, making sure he can open up, assassinate multiple people. But once it was around that mid lane dive, I think it was just Victor going too far forward with the Stride Breaker Black Cleaver build. Unfortunately, not tanky enough to survive any of those dives. And once it was a quadra kill into a Baron, it just gave Lucent the gold and the resources they really needed to close that one out.
Well, you know the drill. We're jumping to a short break. When we come back, it's winners and losers interviews. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a couple of minutes.